All right, what is up, everybody? So, I do have a subject that I wanted to talk about. Actually, it's a kind of an umbrella subject. We love fighting games, let's be real. We all love them. You wouldn't be here if you didn't love fighting games, right? But there are some things that are incredibly infuriating about them, right? And that's what I'm going to talk about today, a little bit, is some things that suck for fighting game players. Let's just get started, alright? Number one, controllers. Okay, so whether you're a stick player or a pad player, you play hitbox or whatever you play, you're eventually going to run into some problems with your controller. And the worst part about that is, let's say, like, I play pad, and I have a DualShock 4 controller that I use, and sometimes one of the directions will stick, right? For whatever reason. And I can't always afford to go out and get a new controller, right? When something goes wrong with it in the middle of a match, this is the worst part. You know that there's a problem with your controller, and it happens in the middle of a match, and you're like, oh, you stupid controller, right? You're that close to a scrub quote, blaming your controller instead of how you're playing. You know it is because of the controller every now and then. So that's one thing that we have to worry about. Speaking of scrub quotes, that's another thing that sucks, is being like mid-scrub quote and catching yourself, right? If you're having a bad day playing, or you're just in a very frustrating match that's taking all of your concentration to play, you start to say stuff about your opponent, or, you begin to say it and you're like, wait a minute, no. Like, you're like, oh my god, this guy is just outplaying me. He's outplaying me. That is what's going on. When really you want to say, this guy's just hitting fucking buttons. And sometimes you'll say it anyway. You'll say a scrub quote, and then you'll go back and you'll go over it in your mind like, nah, he's just, no. That was kind of what I covered in the random video, being called random and stuff. Look, this guy's random. Yeah, you're not going to escape it. Fighting games just affect people in certain ways. No matter how, aware of yourself you are or aware of them you are, eventually you're going to say a scrub quote and you're going to be like, oh, damn it, why? That's not how I actually feel. The next one I want to talk about, this can be annoying for the people you play with, especially like your friends and stuff who like maybe just picked up the fighting game you're playing and you've been playing it for a little while. Unintentional know-it-all syndrome. Right, that's what I call it. Anyway, it's when they start complaining about something, like they're, what do I do to this? God, gee. And you're like, well, the reason that I kept hitting you with this is because you kept doing this and this and that. And if you just, back off a little and not do that so much. And you're trying to help, right? It's legit trying to help. But it comes off as, you need to listen to me, to some people. And even the people that, like my best friend Jared, who I play, I'll bring stuff up to him like that, and I'll sit there and like back it off a little bit, like, shut up, Tony, you're sounding like an asshole right now. So there you have it. Unintentional know-it-all syndrome. Like, oh, this has this many startup frames, that's why this keeps beating that move. Just don't use that move in that situation, things like that. And it's just you helping, but you can definitely come off as kind of a prick if you're not careful. New games coming out. And I don't mean fighting games. I mean new games in other genres. Or not even new games, but just other games that you like to play in other genres besides fighting games. And you're like, well, I really want to play that game, but I also really want to play the fighting game that I've been playing nonstop, and you don't want to like take too long of a break from the fighting game to play this other game, because you do lose some of the skill you've built if you take too long of a break. And a new video game comes out, or let's just go with the new video game example. Like, holy crap, this new game came out, I'm so hyped for it, I can't wait to play this freaking new game. And then it gets there and you play it and play it and play it and play it, and you don't realize how often you're playing it and how long you're playing it for. And before you know it, you've not been playing fighting games for like almost a month or something. And then you go back on to play the fighting game once you've beaten that game, and you're like, oh god, I don't remember any of my combos or like the timings that I had, what is going on. So then you have to grind again, and it's just annoying. It's not like it's damning, but it is annoying having to like relearn some of the things that you knew like second nature before you started playing some other shit. So yeah, another thing that sucks for fighting game players. And this goes hand in hand with it when you're doing anything else. Doesn't even have to be a game that you're playing. If you have free time at all and you're doing anything but playing fighting games, you'll have this thing in the back of your mind like, I should be practicing, or I should be in training mode, or I should be studying the game right now. Like, it's almost like your fighting game player brain will not let you rest, because you're like, okay, I don't want to take a month break, but I need like a day's break or something. You take a day from playing, or a couple of days from playing, and whatever you're doing in your free time, your head is still like, hey, remember, you should be practicing this combo, or you should be practicing this interaction, because it kept messing you up. And you're like, I should really be practicing, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing, but I should be practicing, right? It's kind of like, you're keeping yourself in line. It's almost like a job sometimes. Another thing that sucks for fighting game players, the one and done, especially in ranked. I covered this a little bit in the last gameplay video I had, where people will play you. Okay, so the way that ranked works in a lot of games, so you have to get like consecutive wins to go up in rank, right? Like 2-0s. Okay, so somebody will play you. You'll hook up with somebody in ranked, and you'll play them. It'll be whether if it's close or not. If you wreck them, and then you go to hit rematch, and they go to end fight. They don't want to do the 2 out of 3, and there's a reason for that. Okay, so if they lose the first one, they don't want to lose 2 in a row. And they're like, okay, I don't want to play this guy. I'm gonna keep farming for someone that I can beat, which is dumb. But then there's the ones who beat you once and then one and done. Because if it was a close one and they won, they want to end the fight because they're worried you're going to come back and beat them. It's going to go to game 3 and they're going to get beat again. Chances are, if somebody is the type of person who is going to one and done you and decides that, okay, maybe I can get the second win off this guy, and then they lose the second one after they win the first one and then quit out, that's because it breaks even, right? They won one and lost one, so they're back to square one. But if they lose a second one, there's a chance they're going down in rank. So that's annoying as hell. It really is. Run the set. Always run the set, guys, please. Unless it's just an awful connection and you know that it's just unplayable. Just run the set. Just do it. Another thing that sucks for fighting game players, especially anime fighting game players, such as me, such as a lot of you, explaining to people who don't play fighting games which fighting game you play. This actually happens within the fighting game community, right? I was talking to a buddy of mine at work who plays a lot of video games, and I said, yeah, I'm just grinding out fighting games as I do. And he said, oh wow, really, what fighting game do you play? And I said, Melty Blood Actress Again Current Code, and now Melty Blood Type Lumina. I really like Guilty Gear Accent Core. And he's sitting here like, So it's like you're speaking a different language. But if you said like, oh, I play Street Fighter, they're like, oh, cool, man. Street Fighter's awesome. I love Street Fighter. And then you say, yeah, Street Fighter Alpha 3. And they're like, what? Street Fighter Alpha 3? Just people who don't play fighting games, but they recognize the name of big franchises. Like, I'm sure if you said Mortal Kombat, they'd be like, oh, Mortal Kombat, hell yeah, I love Mortal Kombat. You know, it's just annoying. Like, I came up with a name a long time ago for like the most wacky, obscure anime fighting game name that I could come up with, and it was like Overcorned Mage Drive, Reckoning, the Pastry Slave, in parentheses, Sin Yokeless. So yeah, that was the name of a made-up anime fight. I just wanted it to be as absurd as possible. And if you try and tell somebody, like, imagine the people who play the really obscure ones like Dengeki Bunko, which is a cool game to watch. It looks like a fever dream, and it might hurt your eyes to watch, but it's pretty funny and pretty fun to watch. I don't know if I would play it. It's a little too wild for me. I might try it sometime, but yeah, just trying to explain which anime fighter you play to people who don't play fighting games is rough. This one right here, this next one, can actually be considered a good thing, but also a bad thing. This is just something that still sucks for fighting game players, if you want to be real. There's a lot of fighting games. And there's a lot of them that you want to play. And to get pretty good at one fighting game, you know, we're not all savants, okay? We're not going to be able to just pick one up and be like, oh, I can play this game, it's fine. You're going to have to grind, right? So choosing the fighting games that you want to play can be rough, especially when, like, a new fighting game comes out and you're super hype about it and you're busting your ass getting good at it. And then there's another fighting game coming out in, like, a couple of months that you're also really interested in, and you're like, well, but if I jump to that, then I got to leave this one here and not play it as much, and then it's almost like an endless vicious cycle. Like, what do I focus on? Which frickin' game do I want to play the most here? And it can be annoying as hell. A bunch of fighting games is not a problem, right? It's a good problem to have. Let's just put it that way. Work sucks butt for fighting game players, because if you're like me, I actually go into work in the afternoon, right? So I get up fairly early and I try and play before I go to work. Well, if you start playing, you know, a couple hours before you go to work, and in that last hour you're having really good sets with somebody, and then you look up and you're like, oh shit, I gotta leave in like 20 minutes. I can get one more in. You get one more in, and you're gonna make yourself late for work, but you gotta run the set, but you can't run the set, and then you're like, oh my gosh, damn it, I gotta go to work. So you have to one and done because you have to be at work. And it's like, god damn it, I didn't get the run back, whether you won or lost. If you lost, you don't get the run back, and if you won, you look like a dick because you're leaving this guy hanging when he wanted his chance to run it back. It sucks. Work sucks. That's why I'm trying to, when I play, I try not to play so close to going to work anymore, for a couple of reasons. When you play before you go to work, if you know, it really, for me, it affects the rest of my work day. Like, if I do amazing, if I do like a 1st to 10 with somebody and I kick ass and it was really good matches, I feel great all night at work. I'm like, holy shit, my day's been great. I had an awesome 1st to 10 that I won, and it was really nice. It was great. And then look at the opposite side. If you play like a couple of matches that are really laggy, or somebody one and done you a couple of times, or you just get your ass kicked, you just sit your controller down when you have to go to work, and you're like, fuck, now I have to go to work. I just wasted time getting my ass kicked. When you really didn't waste time, it feels like it though, and you go to work just, dang it. So yeah, there's another one. This next one kind of goes hand in hand with the I should be practicing thing. It's really, really bad for me, because I have so many interests. Fighting games are just one. They're a big one. But I play fighting games. I play retro RPGs. I speedrun games. I play guitar. I write books and everything. By the way, thank you for asking about those. For the people that were in my comments asking about my books, there are links in those comments if you find them on the last video I made. Be freaking awesome if you guys bought them and checked them out. I love writing. It's probably my favorite thing in the entire world, in my whole life, is writing. So, and the thing I put the most work into. But yeah, it really sucks when you have a lot of different interests and you can't focus all your time on just the fighting game that you're playing, right? So take all of that into consideration. I should be practicing, all the different interests, plus all the fighting games they are, and now you have to narrow it down to one fighting game that you're grinding out while you do all this other stuff that you should be taking the time to practice on, and there's all these other fighting games too that are tempting you. So it's just annoying. This could just be a me problem, but yeah. That's just something that I wanted to mention as well. Honorable mention, I will say rage quitters. They suck for fighting game players. I hate them. I hope that they don't ever try and play fighting games ever again. I'm sick of people raging and disconnecting because they're getting their ass beat. I'm over it. Quitters, same way. People who just stand there and let you beat them. Can't stand it. Delay-based netcode. Rollback is this problem has been solved. Everything should just have rollback forever. But you guys already know that. And the games that I play all have rollback. So that was just a big fat list of things that suck for fighting game players. Me specifically. If you guys have any that I missed or didn't think of, let me know in the comments. That'd be great. I want to hear some of your grievances. We all have some. It's not, and they're not really hot takes. It's just these things are universally annoying, and it's not that fighting games are bad and make us do that. It's that we're human, right? There's things that are just really frustrating and really annoying to us. So yeah, let me know in the comments if I missed anything that sucks for fighting game players, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.